Hey guys, welcome back to Constructive Criticism. I'm Cale Lopp, and this is my co-host Zach Simmons.
What's up?
How you doing, man?
It's going good.
Yeah,
It's first full week of January, so everything that comes along with that. I mean, you already know. Got to close out the last year. Got all the new stuff starting. It's been a week.
it's been a week, and to add to that week, to just because we don't know how to slow down or do anything easy, this episode we're doing hot takes. So it's all about. We're going to do some really rapid fire hot takes. I hope you're ready, Zach, because you've gotten to look at this list maybe 5 minutes. And so for our listeners,
it's going to be real.
It's going to be very real. It's going to be really fun. And we're gonna attack this really quickly and just go through. And the whole idea here is we're going to throw out some probably pretty aggressive ideas as far as hot takes of what we see in design and construction. And we'd love to get comments back. I mean, that's the whole idea here is like, what does this really look like? And I'd love to hear real world thoughts on this thing. So it's going to be great. Do you have one that you want to jump into? Or do you have something else you want to say first?
I'm looking at this list. No, I was going to say, I was going to surprise you. I attempted to set this up as a live stream. So this would live stream to YouTube, and the YouTube wouldn't let me. It's like, it put a 24-hour lock on it. It's like, you can't live stream for another 24 hours. Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, this is all rage bait anyway. So
let's go.
I was looking through this. I mean, we kind of laughed about this the other day. And this is honestly my favorite one. If the architect can draw it, you can build it.
All right, let's go. So if the architect can draw it, you can build it. Here's, and I think we're going to agree on this, but I don't know. I don't know. So my hot take on this, and I'm going against my industry, which sadly is where I stand. This is such a bullshit moment in architecture. We draw stuff and we want to act like, well, if I drew it, and then we want to hold everybody accountable to that, and we want to say every line means something, everything actually, and we throw this idea that, and we push so much liability off onto contractors on a regular basis, because it's like, well, it's in the drawings. Well, that line means something. You should have known that said something. And I think that is such a hard thing where we really draw. I mean, here's an example. So I've literally seen a wall section roof, and we've got 5 lines on the outside of the framing member, and no notes pointing to those lines telling us what those are.
Yep.
There is a note. Yeah, there is a note on the elevations that says that it's supposed to be siding on that part of the building, but what the other 4 lines meant, I have no idea. And we send this detail out, and then when the contractor's like, I've got sheathing, I've got siding, here you go, I'm done, and literally have a site walk, and the architect's like, well, we should have this vapor barrier, we should have this sound dampening thing on it was a commercial building, and we should have this insulation, and then you should have sheathing, and then you should and it was just like,
nope.
Wait a minute, time out. What do you mean? Like, well, I drew it, that's what those lines meant. I think there's so much lost. And that's really where it comes down to, is there's so much lost. And yes, if you give me a good detail, I can build it, I think, but there's so much liability in that when we say, well, I drew it, go build it.
Right.
So there's my thought.
Final answer. If an architect can draw it, you can build it. True or false?
It's totally false. It's totally false.
I mean, I have to agree. I mean, you already know, we've talked about this more often than not. I'll give you my example. There was a project downtown by a pretty prevalent designer. I can't say too much about the project because it's people are going to know what it is, and I don't want to out people. But I got an interior elevation, and picture this: that in this room there's a kind of enclosed section. It's a again, I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot of people to go here. It's a lounge in this more open space. So you've got a hard lid, and then you go well upstairs, and it's an upper deck. Um, the interior elevation for that was one line as a box, and you can see the stairs, and you can see the case opening. But I kid you not, it was one. Actually, I take that back. There was two lines for the case opening, and then one for the ridge.
Right.
That was it. Now, does that say if the architect draw you can build it? I mean, obviously it got built,
right?
But I think this, like, for me, this leans into, which you really don't see it too much in Oklahoma. Like, it's few and far between that you see like the art pieces or like the exorbitant style of architecture. That I think in some of those cases, like, I think you get into the structural engineering aspect, you get into like the actual constructability of it. There is those cases where some things drawn just can't be built the way that they're drawn. But more often than not, I don't. I think, will it be built exactly the way the architect envisions it?
Right.
Maybe 95%.
Well, and I'm going to lean into this because I'm going to lead into what I would like to attack.
Okay.
maybe next.
Okay.
But I think that what we get into here, and I think this is another element of this, is when we deal with risk in a project, and what is the risk, where is the risk allocated, and who takes the risk, and what are we doing? And I think that there's an idea that has become prevalent in the design industry. Here's a second hot take. We'll go down this road. I think there's an idea on the design industry, and I think in some senses it's beyond, it creeps beyond architects and into just the professional design industry, structural, mechanical, electrical. Like, everybody does this to some degree, but architects may be the most egregious at it. And what it is the less information I give, the more room to defend my intent I have.
Oh yeah. I mean, to that point, I got to ask, how many times is something drawn and you select a product, like, and it starts layering stuff in on a wall section, and there's 5 lines on that wall section that are supposed to be there. Like, there's intent behind it. It is actually mean something, whether that's audio, audio blocking, soundproofing, weatherproofing, whatever. They're there for a reason. How many times does it happen where the architect has no clue what those lines mean until the question's asked, or it's questioned later and it's like, oh, well, it means this. But up until that point, they had absolutely no clue.
No clue. I agree with you, and I think that happens a lot. So I think there's a lot of times, to put this in a nutshell, I think there's a lot of times that we design for the aesthetic, or we design for the function of what the architect's intent is to create that space, but we don't know how to design. We do not know how to design for constructability. I think as an industry, we struggle with designing for constructability. The days of detailing and thought process, we assume, and we can get into this too, we assume that technology, Revit, we have all this BIM modeling now. We assume all of that happens, and we think that we can slice a section through a model, and there's a bunch of lines on the page, and we can point to that and say, typical wall, and walk away, and
field
walk
verify.
away. Yeah, field verify. We don't design for constructability. We don't design with the built environment in mind. And that's a huge, there's my mic drop on this one, is yes, I would argue this point. There's a caveat here. If the architect can draw it, you can build it. Yes, if he draws it well.
Okay, I like that. All right, final hot take for me. Architect to draw it, you can build it. Yes, but it might be modified. I mean, that's the flat truth of it. I mean,
Yeah.
I look at God, what is it? It's the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah.
If you look at the original renderings for that, it
Mhm.
looks nothing like what it
No.
looks like today. And that was a constructability issue. They could not get the same dimensions and the same curvatures that the design wanted for the initial renderings, and they had to modify based on the structural engineering. So, I mean, yes, but no. ¿Por qué las dos?
So, all right, let's take this one then. We're gonna really pick on the architects on this, I feel like.
I know. Heck, you sent this topic
I
list.
did send this to you. I'm beating up my own people. Like, let's talk about that, because I think that what you're talking about, constructability issues, we see a lot of that as like comes up. So hard line here, reset. Value engineering is usually bad design. I want to look at this one. Because I think this ties a little bit, but I think it's its own thing. So hot take, value engineering is usually bad design. I'm going to let you go first. What do you see in that? Value engineering is usually bad design.
Oh, I mean, value engineering is such a buzzword. I mean, it's like, oh, well, we need to VE it. We need to bring it in a budget. I mean, realistically, at least my perspective, I don't know if it's necessarily bad design. I think it's more process based, that there was a disconnect between constructability cost and design intent. There was steps missed along the way that opened up the opportunity or the requirement to interject VE. Now, the real reality of VE means cheaper stuff. I mean, that's the cold hard truth of it. Now, there is some true innovations that can be injected that, and I think that's the problem is, but when you say VE, value engineer, to most clients, like, okay, well, we are just engineering this differently, but we still have value. To all of us, we automatically assume cheaper, lower quality, faster to get here, and I think there's a fine line that most people don't dig into on, okay, well, what about economy of scale? What about improving the trade overlap, shortening division one, shortening the overall project by trade overlap? There's all of these things that can be done without reducing quality on specific products. But on the flip side of that, if you've only got a certain amount of budget and the architect draws finishes for the Taj Mahal, you're going to be forced to VE, which is a cheaper product, back to something as a reasonable standard. So, is value engineering bad design? No, but I think that it is a symptom of something that was missed, or a disconnect in the pre-construction process, because the lack of true market involvement or cost involvement through guiding and directing that design process.
Okay. My hot take: value engineering is usually bad design. I'm going to be the bad guy again.
Get them.
Yes, I think it is bad design.
Okay.
This is why I think it's bad design. I think that I come back to the concept of when we set out to produce a project, as an architect, the goal in mind is to provide the function that the client needs, the aesthetic demand that the client has, whatever that is, and that budget has to be met as part of that. You can either include the budget as part of the function, like, hey, functionally, this has to work within a budget, or you set it as its own individual item. Value engineering is bad design because we're not hitting the requirements of the project. And we have to get better. We have to get better at recognizing the end goal needs of the client and looking at projects as producing a functional set of drawings that end result is a building. It's buildability, it's constructability. It ties back to what we started with. I'm looking at that, and I think one of the things, so it is bad design. One of the things we've gotten bogged down into in architecture is that we design a box. Most of the time we design a box, and in today's market we design that box, and then we go find our windows. We go get old castle details and we drop those in. That's our storefront. We go grab our ceiling details from Armstrong and we drop those in. We go grab our flooring details from Shaw or whoever, and we drop those in. We're not thinking about the detail drawn that needs to be drawn there to understand what that looks like. And I know there's architects that are going to jump on here if they're listening and say, bullshit, I do it every day. I draw good details. I do this. And I'm like, yes, you probably do. But the lion's share of the industry is leaning on our suppliers and our products out there to meet that detail. And I guarantee you the cost runs up because we're not really designing from a budget perspective of like what fits. We're designing from a, where can I go grab this and drop it in and it looks cool. Okay, done. They have a Revit file. Let's use that one. Well, does it work? Is it in budget? Yeah. So I think that's where I see value engineering is a symptom of bad design because we're fixing the design 90% of the time. And what's sad is that we're fixing it at the 9th hour and we're fixing it with what the subcontractor or CM can get in the next 3 weeks. And so we're VEing to get down to a budget and it's cheaper and it's usually lower quality because we don't have the time to design it. We've given that time away.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to say, I'll give a little bit of credit back. 90% of projects delivered today, they're delivered, or at least during pre-construction. So you run through to a full set of CDs, construction documents, without a contractor involved. That is most traditional firms and most projects being delivered today. I would say, there's a problem there because I don't expect architects to have an understanding of what the market is. I don't expect them to go out and bid this job. I don't expect them to go engage, the 10,000 subcontractors in that market to get a good median cost for what this scope is and, what that variable, in the market is. What's your high, what's your low?
Right.
I don't expect them to do that. And especially if a client's not retaining them or, the design firm with a partner construction firm to walk through that process, or a CM to, handle the whole thing, retain an architect, do the pre-construction piece. Architects are at a major disadvantage to, they're essentially walking blind. And they can take their best due diligence, they could take their blue book, they could take, whatever costing methods that they have available and still get it wrong just because they, it's not their job to know what the market is.
No, I agree. So I'll give you back that one.
Okay.
But I will say value engineering is still a symptom of bad design. I think it's still a symptom of bad design. But I will caveat that with the fact that value engineering, budgets are hard to hit, especially in today's market. And if you don't have a contractor, if you don't have somebody with their thumb on the pulse of the market day to day, communicating that into the design process, you're never gonna hit it.
I agree.
Okay.
Right, so final take, true or false? Bad design? Yes.
It's bad design.
Okay. I will portionally agree with you. I'm torn on that one.
You're being a nice guy.
But I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to give you this whole list is beating up on architects. So I'm trying to be a little bit nice. But
give me one from yours. You've got some loaded.
Yeah. All right. True or false, or let's do hot take. Most budgets are fake.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Most budgets are fake. Okay. Hot take.
It's okay.
Damn. Yes. I think so. Most budgets are fake. True or false? Yes, I think it's true. I think that what we do is we hedge. And I think that what we do in reality is build a budget that we can live with. And the real budget is somewhere under there, but we don't know. It's similar to, we talked about the 5 lines and the architect doesn't know what those 5 lines actually are.
Yep.
Let me throw it back in the PM's court and say, you don't know what that fucking line item actually is.
No.
You don't know that you need 1.5 million in framing. You just know that that's a safe number that you can probably get under.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that a lot of budgets are fake, especially on that early. And this is going to shout in the face of what we just discussed, because it's like value engineering. If it's not bad design, sorry, I'm bringing it back up.
I
If
know.
it's not
Well,
bad
these two
design,
tied.
these two are tied. If it's not bad design, and we're saying that we need a contractor in the mix to help us navigate that process and give good budget estimates, what happens when we know that those budgets are fake? And I can come out of this, like, we've literally come off of I've come off of probably 3 projects right now that, whether the client created a budget because they had a conversation with a contractor and came to us as a designer and said, okay, but my contractor buddy said I can get this, I should be able to get this somewhere in this range. And I'm looking around and I'm going, yeah, like if they'll sign on the dotted line and guarantee GMP that budget, get them now and sign them, make them sign in blood, and
yeah,
and have a witness line on that signature, because I don't think it's true. And we deal with that budget. And I've had 2 projects in the last 6 months with that kind of environment, where I'm sitting there as a designer going, I know that budget doesn't work, and I don't know budgets. I'm a designer, but I can call you and 5 other contractors that I work with on a regular basis. And you guys are all, because you don't know the buddy, you're all going, there's no way I could do it for that.
Right.
I've got 5 projects I just bid, and none of them are anywhere near that number. And they're close to that same square footage and finish quality. Like, at least at that very, very early conceptual level, we haven't drawn anything on a piece of paper. We're describing a building as, hey, we got a 7,000 square foot building with 5 bathrooms, and it's for, it's for office. And you're like, give me a number, Zach.
Sure. Well,
that budget's fake.
What kind of number you want?
That budget's fake.
Fair enough. Okay, so that's your final take. Most budgets are fake. True.
Most budgets are fake. I think they're fake until you sign a GMP.
Okay. I mean, okay. So I'm gonna back up a little bit on this, because I think that there's two lanes that you can kind of fit in on this, because I come from a lot of fake budgets and I can't stand it. And so at least for what we do, we try really, really hard to get down to, in our GMP, what is this actually going to cost? And, typically, I mean, it's very, very rare that we have a plug number. Typically it is 100% scoped out. There is a contractor with a contract waiting to sign on the dotted line as soon as I get that GMP signed. It is a live bid that they have delivered in the last 30 days that's still valid. That, now, is that going to be the actual cost? I have no way of knowing. That's what I'm going to pay them. That's, they're probably the middle of 3 contractors, if not more. So, I have a high, I have a low. I'm typically going with the middle. But at least for us, we try so hard to make sure that it is a legit budget. Now, do we capture savings on the back end? Are there things that we found that we added and we really didn't need? Absolutely. But at the time of the GMP, or in the early stages of the job, it was our expectation that 100% of this allocated cost was going to be spent.
Right.
And there's a lot of firms that do that. I think more now than probably any time ever before, except when you get back into, 40s, 50s, that type of construction.
Right.
There's more people doing it that way now. But there's also the second side, where you have these, which I call them concept estimators. They've got these, their cost per linear foot on a wall type. They've got their cost per square footage of brick, and they are going through and they're doing on-screen takeoff. They're doing blue beam, and they are taking off the entire job in every scope. And the only thing that they are actually getting sub numbers for is probably licensed trades.
Right.
What's your electrical, what's your plumbing, what's your HVAC, what's your utility,
your MEP utility.
Yeah. And so they're pulling those in, but they put the framing, the structure, the steel, the concrete, the finishes, the millwork, the doors and hardware, the windows, the storefront. They put all of that together with square foot pricing or unit pricing based off of whatever system that they've created. Now, I don't know. Fake, Absolutely. That is 100% a fake budget. Is it based on a little bit of truth? Sometimes, but that also results in a completely different type of project, because you've now got a contractor that didn't get any bids, that has won a job and says, all right, framers, here you go. I've already won this job. I've already got a number that I plugged
You have
for
this
it.
much money.
Figure out how to get below it, which is just, I cannot stand to treat subcontractors that way, like buttonholing people like that. It shoots the quality out on the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because now you're going back to that, which we've talked about before, budgeting to design, which at that point you're budgeting to budget. And it's just a really crappy way. And there is a lot of contractors that do it that way just because of the competitive nature of the market. They are playing their spreadsheet against somebody else's spreadsheet, and that's the only way that they can win a job. So from that aspect, absolutely, I would say probably greater margin, 75% of the market budget's fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, and you and I have both seen jobs where, just like we were talking about, they're millions over what our expectation was for, I get that phone call like you were talking about. Hey, what do you think this cost? Oh, well, I don't know, X million. Oh God. Okay. Well, they're 15 over that.
Right. Right.
And you kind of, how many times more often than not have you worked through those jobs and that number gets validated as just complete BS?
Right.
There, you got a contractor over here getting ready to make, millions of dollars that is assigned in schedule of value scope that it ain't real. But I guess if you go back to if you say it's true long enough, then it's probably going to be true at some point.
Yeah. So, hot take, final answer, most budgets are fake.
Yes, 100%.
I agree. I think that's it. So, let's do another construction based one.
Okay.
What about your promotion from the field, or like how did we phrase that one?
Okay. Yeah, it's the contractors don't really promote from the field.
Right.
Yeah, you know how I feel about that one. Do you want to go first?
I'm gonna go first because I'm gonna piss you off. I'm gonna just play a little bit of devil's advocate, but it's also partly what I've seen, and I'm going to disagree because I know where you're coming from. I think I do. I would agree. I don't think that larger contractors, I see a lot of, and I'll qualify it, I guess, with that, but I don't see a lot of contractors. I see a lot of middle management. I see a lot of you've got the construction sciences degree. Okay, let's put you in at a PM or APM, and we're going to build you there. And then the field guys are automatically relegated to, if they don't have a licensing trade that they can go pivot into, whether that's plumbing, mechanical, whatever, they're relegated to maybe a superintendent position at some point. But they're never, there's the idea of them seeing the inside of an office is little to none.
I agree with that. I don't disagree.
So I think the other thing that I think happens with this is that I think that we don't train to promote. So I think that would be my additional, like my hot take on the hot take is that
double hot take.
Like you can't tell me that you promote from the field and you're going to push that and you're going to actually believe in that if you're not allowing your supers and your people that are in the field, your field work guys that come in and hire on as maybe an assistant super or even like a pushing a broom laborer to grow up. And then, they may know how to push the broom and put a field handrail together. They can build that stuff. They can be a carpenter level, but you're not training them into an office position. You're not training them how to get on the phone and actually talk to people and negotiate contracts and negotiate budgets and do those things that PMs need to do. And so if you're not backing that claim of I'm going to promote from the field, backing that up with some level of training and giving your people an opportunity to step into those positions, then I think that you're lying to yourself.
I don't disagree.
What give me your side, brother.
Well, I mean,
let's go.
I mean, so I am proof that is a false sentiment in some cases. You know, I'm going to split this one again into two. You have unique cases, which are non-typical, and you have general industry. I'll start with general industry first because I do agree with you. And also from personal experience, you know, I worked for a really awesome general contractor in Texas, which Lane, if you're listening to this, still love you, buddy. I was a young superintendent, which I was doing a decent job. Like I wasn't, you know, I was a young superintendent. Like I wasn't great at anything, but I wasn't terrible either. But I really wanted to move into the office. I wanted to get into the PM side of things. And I went to him one day and it really stuck with me. And ultimately it was the fuel that provided me the drive to go get what I wanted. And ultimately, you know, I sat down with him one day and I asked him, hey, I really enjoy being a superintendent, but I would really like an opportunity to come into the office and see what I could do there. I'm already doing a lot of PM stuff in the field on some of these programs. You know, I'm doing a lot of this other stuff in addition to my job title. I'd like to have this opportunity. And you know, ultimately, and a lot of business owners have this mentality and have this idea. And now being a business owner myself, I see it and I know why it's valid. You know, he told me, he's like, hey, I know you're a good superintendent. I don't know if you're a good PM. I can't make that happen. I can't give you that opportunity at risk for the company. Like I'm going to hire people that are good at what they're doing and what they're hired to do. And unless it is just a unique situation, you know, we're not going to deviate from that. Which, I mean, it's a safety net. It's true. You can have a killer superintendent that wants to be a PM and they absolutely suck as a PM. And, you know, for the prospective employer, you know, it's not, it is adding more risk as opposed to being risk adverse to make that move. So, from that aspect, I think general industry contractors don't promote from the field. They're comfortable. They find good people to do good things in the field. And you just ultimately get stuck there. A lot of the times, if people want to move up, they have to move companies.
Which is why you see the bouncing.
You see the jump.
You see the bouncing.
Yeah. Other than, I think, oil field construction management has some of the most company changes by any industry, other than like insurance sales or something, which is bad. But which, I mean, I did, you know, in that specific situation, I had to move to a different company to be a superintendent, but they had also agreed at the time of transferring me to being a superintendent that after 6 months, they would give me an opportunity as a PM. I took that opportunity.
So I thought you were going to disagree with me. Give me the other side then.
Okay.
because
this is my disagreement.
Hot take. We're both saying contractors don't really promote from the field. So if you're going to argue with me,
I'll argue.
Give me something, Zach.
I'm proof. I mean, don't promote from the field. I mean, I'm about as field as it gets when you go far enough back. Because I started in electrical. You know, I started as, you know, it was family company, so it was the helper of the helper. It was, you know, go find the wire stretcher. You know, go find the pipe stretcher. You know, that was my role for a very long time. You know, ultimately, you know, I was an apprentice. I was a journeyman. I ended up going after my contractor's license. I was one of the youngest, you know, to go after the contractor's license for electrical in Oklahoma. So like, and I was field based, PM and superintendent. You know, I was, if we had people in it, I was in it. Which it gave me the foundation, and ultimately, I'm going to shoot my own argument in the foot, because I will say that I was not promoted. There was not one single company that gave me a linear opportunity for promotion. So, but I'm yeah, I mean, you're right. You know, I will say, there's opportunities there, but you have to create those opportunities if you want to go from the field into the office or into upper management. Ultimately, what I did, you know, I went from an electrician to a superintendent for a small company. And then I went from a superintendent for a small company to a mid-sized company, and then to a large company. And then I had to jump, and I went from a superintendent role to a cross role superintendent and PM. And then I was a PM, and then I was a singular PM. And you kind of go through these steps. Ultimately I did get into the office. So I am proof. I am individual proof, all the way up into company ownership, out of the field in construction management. So it is possible to go from the field to the office.
I'm going to argue this. I'm going to support you a little bit here.
Okay. Help me out here.
I don't think contractors truly promote from the field. I think there's a lot of talk about that. I think they use it, they dangle that carrot, but I don't think that there's a good vehicle for that in the construction industry right now. Yeah. However, I will say this. The flip side of that is that I think the construction industry is one of those industries where I run into people day in and day out in the construction industry that I'm like, so what was your degree in? If they even have a degree, like where did you start? And it's like, dude, I was a maintenance guy for a big property management company. And then I started fixing certain things. And then I got, an opportunity here with this contractor. And then I did this and then I did that. Next thing you know, it's like I started my own, home building company, or I'm a home builder now and I'm doing this. And so, I mean, we've interviewed people on this podcast that were lawyers and are now owning construction companies. So I think there's a beauty. If you are driven, there's a freedom in the construction industry more than in design or engineering or any of those things, that if you are driven and you want to go get something, there's an opportunity there. It's a little bit the Wild West, but if you there's gold in them there hills. Like if you go, you can get something and you can make something that's your own, and you can actually accomplish something really beautiful for your life and for your career. So I'll promote the construction industry in that way. However, I think that is a separate process, and and I think you are proof of that. You're proof of that in the construction industry. I don't know that you're proof that individual contractors promote from the field, and that we see that promotion in the field. Now, I think you have an opportunity to be a difference maker in that area. But so, I mean, that's the challenge.
Sure. Well, take Kenneth, for example. Kenneth, he is in a directorship role.
Right.
He went from concrete guy to superintendent to senior superintendent. Now he's over, our entire field division. No higher education background, just straight from field. So it does happen. But there again, it was different companies. It was multiple different steps along the way, just like myself, okay, I know of one individual. There was a gentleman that worked for Sun Contractors out of Norman. So credit to Sun Contractors, because they gave this dude a killer opportunity. I started as a, what was it? A carpenter?
Yep, probably.
And because we interviewed him. I really wanted this guy to come work for us. He started as a carpenter, and over the course, it was like 10 or 12 years, he got all the way up. It was carpenter, foreman, field for, general foreman, superintendent, cross-roll superintendent, PM. Like he had moved all the way up from essentially like a carpenter helper. And so I think that is the one individual that I've ever actually met that went all the way from helper company to office within one company. So is it possible? Yes. Does it happen all the time? Absolutely not.
No. How do you want? I want to deal with this one because I want to deal with it so bad, and
I think I know which one you're going.
I'm gonna attack my own people here, but
again,
yeah. Hot take: architects are the untouchables of construction.
Yes, I knew it. That's where you're going.
Because I hate this, and I feel so frustrated by this because, and on one sense, I cannot blame my industry. We have built, so I believe, yes, I would say architects are the untouchables of construction. And I'm standing here as a licensed architect who stamps drawings. Okay. So you can look at me and say, yeah, but look at all the liability that comes with your stamp. Look at all this, look at all that. And I'm like, have you seen some of the drawings that I've seen that have come across my desk? It's like, this is what my architect gave me. This has gone through the city. And now the inspectors are finding all these issues. And can you help me fix it? Because that guy's ghosted me, or, wants ungodly amounts of money to come fix his own drawings. And we've insulated through legal action and all of these different licensing and intent concepts and the 15 pages of general notes that we've got covering everything. And we've insulated ourselves from the risk, which I understand. We're in a litigious industry.
50-cent word.
Yeah. And we're in that place. But the reality is we've created ourselves this little bubble, and we get to live in that. And I've watched where, I've been there at the table as the architect on one project. I'm going to give two examples here. Architect on one project where it's like, we have a waterproofing issue. We have a roof deck over an occupiable space, and it's drawn flat. It's drawn flat as F.
Okay.
And it's like, well, you're supposed to wrap that in TPO, or, and you're supposed to do this and do that.
That's
and
what
like,
ISO's for.
Yeah. And it's like, this is not going to drain. Nobody has thought about how this drains or how this actually gets anywhere. And the contractor's sitting there sweating bullets because he's built it per the plans. And sadly for the contractor, he wasn't aware enough in that moment to call it out before he built it. He didn't study the plans at a level that he probably should have there, but he built it per the plans. And the architect, as the architect's representative in that scenario, I get to walk in and I get to look at that and I get to say, well, owner, they can either reframe it with slope, they can put ISO on it with slope. These are your options. But the problem with the ISO slope situation is you've got a door walking out onto this roof deck. So I've only got 6 inches drawn on the plans. I've only got 6 inches of plan to deal with this. I don't have it. I don't have it. And it's like, there's just no way to build that in. And as the architect's representative, literally, I'm so insulated from the risk in that moment that I'm like, owner's going to pay for it to get reframed, or owner's going to pay. And I look back on that moment as I was representing, other things in that situation, other entities in that situation. I'm like, holy crap. Like the contractor, I guarantee you the contractor ate some of that and the owner ate some of that.
Oh, guarantee.
And whose fault was it? Right. So I'll shoot my own self in the foot. Like that was a mistake. That was a problem. So I think we've created a situation where you don't have all team members on a project in equal level of liability. And so when that happens, and you don't have team members with equal level of liability, it puts the weight, whoever has the liability share, the line share of the liability, winds up fighting for the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think architects are untouchables of the construction industry. We get to walk in and claim intent, claim all these different things, and step back from the reality of taking responsibility for mistakes made.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you agree, but give me your side of it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
How many examples do you have of this?
Okay. Well, okay. I'm going to preface with one question. When was the last time that you heard about an A&E firm having their insurance hit for errors and omissions?
I have never seen it happen.
Right there. Do you know how many times? Okay. Soapbox.
Let's go. How many times, finally, we got one.
You know how many times a contractor, which name the broader market, you could throw a dartboard at a list of them and it would probably be true that their bond or their insurance has been hit for an error and omission. Something that wasn't designed appropriately and, it had to be ripped out, or, and then just the general stuff, the act of God stuff, the weather events, the theft, the break-ins, the defacing. Contractors got it all. They are the ultimate responsible party that when construction has started, it's their fault and nobody else's. They should have seen it. They should have read that better. They should have
should have found that general note down
they
in
should
there.
have found it. And then you get the pushback on, well, okay, you are the contractor. You should have seen this. Code states this. I have a note that says that anything differs from code, then you are supposed to notify me. You didn't notify me and you proceeded and built it anyway. That's not my fault. I mean, how many, okay, here's my other side. How many notes are in these freaking plans when you've got a full size page of nothing but notes that it's field verify, contractor to verify. If, the whole code compliance aspect, if something does not math out, or like I've seen crazy stuff in there. It's like, if these structural calculations don't, appropriately match, IBC and, proper engineering that you're like,
I don't know that.
You want a field guy to call out structural engineering calculations? I mean, yeah, like some of them can,
Right.
there's some great, 5-star steel local in the city. Mod is one of the best structural engineers in the city. He's a steel manufacturer, but no, like in the general, like the great grand scheme of things, architects, hot take, architects are 100% untouchable, except, and I'm talking about from a legal, financial, overall client holding them responsible risk. You want to talk about some architects getting chewed out. None of you are safe. None. Yeah. RFI was delayed. Submittal was delayed. Plans screwed up. Design development pushed another 2 weeks. If I swear to God, if I hear, oh, that's going to take 2 weeks, one more time, I swear to God. Oh, yeah.
Hot take. I love it. Hot take.
There's my hot take.
You don't get 2 weeks.
No, you don't get. Call me in 2 hours and it better be done, or I'm going to have my APM do it with a crayon. I'm just kidding.
That is the best clip we're taking out of this whole episode right there. My APM do it with a crayon.
Oh my God. We all have these incidents, which I'm gonna sidetrack for a minute.
Let's go.
And the engineer that I'm talking about. And I feel bad. And if the guy's listening, dude, I apologize. It was extremely unprofessional of me to say this in a client meeting. We're in an OAC. We've got the architect, we've got the engineer, we've got the client, we've got ICE, we've got the owner representative, we've got my whole team. And we're sitting there, we're going back and forth with an engineering firm over a site plan. Site plan took forever. Striping plan was weird. And you could tell, and I know that the guy was busy, so I cut him some slack now. They were just absolutely burying this guy with workload. And so, it was just turn out projects as fast as you can get them and move on to the next one. And this was a 4,000 square foot parking lot that I needed a parking lot. Like, how many spaces can I fit in this space?
Right.
And what I got was unfortunately for him, he pulled it up in the meeting that it was a satellite photo with a blue beam, lines drawn on, they weren't even, they weren't all correct. The proper spacing, it was bad. He did
it an hour before the meeting.
He did it an hour before the meeting, which that happens a lot in this industry. And I sat there, and to his boss that was also in the meeting, I said, this is absolute bullshit. My APM could have done this on Bluebeam in 30 minutes. And it took your guy 2 weeks to deliver this. And the room went silent. And I just went, oh God, I shouldn't have said that.
I mean, sometimes in our industry, and I think this is not a hot take, this is just the reality. And I hope for our listeners, I hope you enjoy this episode, because we've had a lot of fun. I've been laughing more on this episode than I have on many of our others, because we all feel this. And we all feel this, and we all feel the tension of this. But there's also that moment in the OAC meeting or in those coordination meetings where it's like, somebody's got to just tell the truth. Somebody's got to call it like it really is, because there's also a lot of well, thank you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it is,
Oh,
we'll
I
see
do
you
so
next
bad at
week.
that.
We'll see you next week at the same time. So same bat time, same bat channel. And you're like, nothing got done. I still have RFIs out. I still have these questions. I still have this. I still have that. What the hell is going on? And somebody at some point, it's like we have inundated our industry with meetings where we don't get to actually say what we really need because we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to be nice. And I think there's an element of that where, and we've talked about this, where the collaboration, the coordination, when are we having the sit down where I'm on one side of the table as the architect going, this is what I've got so far.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on the other side going, I can't build this. That doesn't work. This is not going to make sense. And instead of me looking at you and going, well, how would you do it? I'm like, okay, I can take that note. What if we do it like this? And we draw that detail and we draw it together. And you're sitting there going, well, don't do it like that because I can't run my flashing up the way it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do this. Okay. But there's a collaborative element there but you got to be honest and you got to be real and you got to call my bullshit and I got to call yours and,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to just do it.
It's typically, and we've talked about this before, typically in most settings, there's a stronger relationship with the architect from the client because the architect's been retained first. The contractor's coming in new, there's already an established relationship. And so me as a contractor, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to come in here looking like a jerk right off the bat and say, well, this is wrong. You're a complete idiot for the drawing it like this. Like I can't do that. Contractors cannot walk into that setting and which I mean some do, but that's also the contractors that'll sign a project for $1 million and then the day that the contract is signed, submit $500,000 worth of change orders. They have no problem saying, well, this, and this is wrong, and the architect just drew it wrong. It's not buildable. But that's a whole different business model in itself. And I don't agree with it, but it's relevant. Like it is prevalent in today's industry. So real quick, I do want to jump to one more.
Okay. Well,
and this one actually came off of TikTok. This was a TikTok suggestion. And you were on the general contracting side. So you're going to have to speak to from that aspect. Well,
okay.
Maybe. All right. You ready?
Hit me.
The safety guy is your friend. Yeah, there it is.
So this is a hard one because there are aspects of this. So let me do this. The safety guy is your friend. I really do believe that as an industry, OSHA, we are trying to build safer, better buildings. We're trying to actually make sure our people go home at night. I've been on a project when I've been on the project and we had a roofer on the project and it happened. It's been a few years, but I was on this project as an architect. And it still hit our firm when this news came through, but they were roofing that project and they were doing transfer on a metal roof, sloped metal roof, and he's transferring and he unclipped before he clipped back. And he went off a 5-story building and he did not go home that night. He didn't go home 2 weeks later. He went in a box.
That went dark.
Yeah. Well, but that's
true.
The truth. And that's where I'm like, no, that there is a value in the safety guy. There's a purpose in that. There's a reason we have safety processes. There's a reason we have safety people on the payroll, making sure that things are done to OSHA standards, making sure that things are done to safety standards. However, I have also seen the safety guy as the guy who never really has any responsibility, never, is the bogged down on the project, is the nitpicker of the project. He's always the one trying to bean count and justify his payroll and his salary. And like, I've seen that guy too. So I really struggle with the safety guy as your friend because it's like, no, he's not your friend, but he has a job to do. And there's a purpose in this industry for why that person is there. There's a reason that we're not running grinding wheels without a guard on and using safety squint and we're in our cut off blue jean shorts and our tennis shoes, and no shirt and our tool belt around, and because I grew up framing houses, and I'll be honest with you, as a high schooler framing houses, That's exactly what I looked like.
Shorts, tennis shoes, tool
Shorts,
belt.
tennis shoes, tool belt, a nasty sunburn all summer, and a safety squint that stuck with me for 2 to 4 years after that. And it's like I mean, you still can't see all my eyes, and I know what that's like. I also know that I almost fell off a 2-story roof because the toe board wasn't nailed in. I also know that I cut more than one end of finger off cutting ridge cap shingles out of 3-tab shingles back in the day. I remember doing those things, and I know that there is a proper Is that the chime? That's the bell.
Yeah,
that's the end bell. Ding. No,
You're
I
done.
know that there's a proper process and purpose to safety and why we have safety in the industry. So that's my hot take, is that the safety guy isn't your friend, but he has a job to do and he has a purpose. If he does it well, we don't have a problem on the job site and we can get things done effectively and move forward.
I mean, I agree. And again, I'm going to go from personal perspective and then what we have done differently. Most of the companies that I was in that had a formal safety guy that was internal to the company, you see the weaponization of that position. Like you said, he doesn't have any responsibility. To earn a paycheck, he's got to go find something. But it was the guys and their job sites that were buddies with him that they didn't get wrote up, or they had they had 5 things that were minor. And it was okay. Well, just take care of this, and this, and I won't put it on the report. But then the guys that he didn't care for, typically me. I got slapped with 20 violations every time they came out there, and then he has no, like, it's all recourse and no action. Like, there's no recommendation on, okay, well, you need to do this and you need to do this to make your job site better, and you can do this on a daily basis to get better at these things and look for these things. Like, there was no training aspect, and there was no support to the whip. Like, it was literally a whip position where it was his job just to go out and to write people up, and the guys that were had made friends with the safety guy, they were the ones that didn't get the whip. I mean, how many construction companies is that the reality nationwide? Probably a lot.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's also not, that's the bad safety guys. Like, that's the ones that aren't actually performing their job well. Ultimately, I think that role, they should not be anybody's friend. It is their ultimate job just to make sure that everybody goes home safely. And I don't care if you like me or not, you're going to go home safe and you're going to go back to your family, and everybody on your job site is going to go home safe and back to their family. And that is their ultimate job. Whether you like them or not, or they like you or not, is besides the point. I mean, I think we as an industry need to stop worrying about that and just assume that he's probably going to be a jerk when he comes out here, or she. Right. And there's one purpose. Now, what we've done differently, I'm trying to remove a little bit of that aspect, just because everybody's scared of the safety guy, like, just because of that whip. You are going to get some type of disciplinary action, more than likely, or more often than not, when the safety guy comes out, or whatever. We went third party. It's not internal.
Yeah.
It is a company that specializes in safety, that is there to provide a service that I dictate. So how detailed are they? What are they digging into? What are they specifically looking for? It is my dictation on what they're to provide me. And so there's no internal company influence, but then they also act as a helper to my guys in the field. It's, hey, I saw this, and this, you need to do this. I recommend this. And they can call them. If they have a question, take a picture of something, they can call them at any time. Be like, hey man, I need some insight on this. What do you think? What do I need to do? What's going to make this compliant? And so, friend, no, but resource, absolutely.
Yes.
It is a usable resource, and I wish more of the industry would do this. It is a usable, viable resource that the guys feel comfortable with calling and utilizing for the correct purpose, rather than just making sure everybody stops work or just scrambling around when the safety guy rolls up.
I'm gonna finish this out with a little bit of an extension of this conversation, because I think this comes out of some other things that we've discussed. So another take on that. When the contractor looks at safety as an actual priority and their real goal is people going home at night, and we get away from the old mindset, because I mean, I think a lot of this podcast is about stepping away from that old mindset. So
To get it done.
let's step away from the old mindset that is just safety's there to, I got to check the box. I got to make sure my guys are OSHA certified, and I got to do this and this and this and this. Like, I've got to do that for a business. So it becomes a box checking role.
Mm-hmm.
But that is an old mindset. And I do feel like applause to the construction industry for really, I think in a lot of ways, working to the fact that there are third-party safety companies now, and they can actually find enough work to be active in the market, is an indicator that as an industry, the construction industry is finally recognizing, and I say finally, I think it's been happening over the course of the last few years, recognizing safety is an issue, and there's a value that can be added to that. There is actual ROI to having a clean and safe job site.
100%.
What do you see from the construction side? Because as an architect, the thing that I see is when I come on and I walk a job, we're at the OAC meeting, we're coming out there for our once a month thing. We're going to see what all you guys have done, talk about some things, get some RFIs answered, that kind of stuff. And we walk the job. And I walk the job, and it's like, when I walk a job that I feel like takes safety seriously, the job is cleaner, it's more organized, things are happening in a much more intentional and purposeful way. That leads to faster production times. That leads to happier employees and subcontractors. They know where their crap's at. Stuff's not getting stolen. Things are, or less things are getting stolen. All of those things. From the architect side, I walk on a job and I see that, and I'm like, okay, this feels good. It feels right. What do you see? What are your metrics as a person at a management owner level? What's the ROI that you see for having a safe and clean and effective job site?
Well, I mean, if you're the ROI specifically, God, I mean, there's so many different aspects. Clean and safe job sites that, you get into everything. Like you said, you get into rate of production, you get into incident reduction, you get into, your insurance costs, like with your insurance provider going out and doing risk assessments on your site. Like, is it clean? Is it organized? Is your sharp material in a safe place? Do you have tools strewn all across everything? What's your EMR rating? Like, there's all of these different things that combine that overall, if you have a safe job site and you have a clean job site, it is going to translate into savings. It is going to translate into money retained as opposed to spent, because you're not being frivolous, you're not being careless. You have true metrics in place that you can point to, like the third party safety guy. Like, hey, I've got biweekly assessments by this third party that's here's every report that they've done. Okay, insurance people love that. You're going to get a rate reduction just because of your due diligence to ensure that. And so, which I mean, the base ROI is that you don't have your people hurt. You don't have people that are working for you. I mean, as a contractor, we are asking these subcontractors to come and partner with us to do these jobs. So, why can I not provide a safe and clean job site for their crew? If I have one crew that, they're screwing around and, they're just destroying the place, why am I not going to hold them accountable when everybody else is doing a good job and trying to make they're trying to go home too. I don't need somebody tripping and falling over a broken piece of sheetrock and, falling and breaking their neck. Or, unfortunately, we saw last year a couple, local fatalities for things that, just bad upkeep of the job site, of not marking fall points and not marking ledgers and, making it inaccessible areas for elevated lifts and, all of these different things. Like, when I walk on a job site, I'm looking at one, is the floor swept? Do we have a clean floor? Is the material strewed everywhere, or is it in a stored stage position? And then I start looking at, okay, is the stage position is it a thought through process? Like, are they thinking about, path of travel? Are they thinking about what comes next? Are they thinking about, okay, well, I see studs there, I see drywall there, I see tile board there. Okay, they are lining up material in phases. And so I can see the thought process in how they have set the material out. Like, I know, okay, they are thinking not only about the current condition of the job, but they're also thinking about it 5 steps ahead in keeping it safe now, proactively for in the future. There's all these different tells and things that I'm looking for, anytime that I walk. Thankfully, our guys do a really good job at that, and really don't even have to push it, promote it, prod it. Like, it just happens, which is rare. I'm really thankful for our team that I don't have to.
Yeah. But that's a cultural thing.
It is. It really is. The biggest complaints that which I wouldn't even call them complaints. I call them screw tweaks. We're just tightening screws.
Yeah.
That is, really the most of what I have to deal with. But a lot of people, it's the opposite. They have problem makers. They have people that don't care. They have people that just let a job site go to crud. And it's the industry. But it all just comes down to what that contractor really cares about, what that culture really cares about, and if they are going to put an effort into it. And a lot of that goes back to the people that are working on the job site. If the people care, then the job site's probably going to be pretty nice.
All right. Well, I love that. I think that we ended on a high note. That was nice.
Yeah, we did. We got dark there for a second.
We got dark there for a second. We ended on a high note. Yeah. Well, it was the reality, but that I had to walk through. Hot takes. You got any 5-second mic drop comments?
Ooh, I think I got on my soapbox. Enough today. I don't. Here, hang on. Do you have any? While I'm thinking?
I think there's two things that I want to say.
Okay.
As mic drops on hot takes.
Okay. Go for it.
Hot takes, architecture, the untouchables of the construction industry. I'm going to hit that one again.
Okay.
When everyone else builds the risk, architects describe it. I think everyone else builds it. You guys carry it. The owner carries it. We ultimately just describe it. And I think that's a problem that can be dealt with. I think that we have to do my final take on this is that architects have to do a better job of looking at constructability. We have to do a better job looking at constructability and how things are built and the products that we're speccing in buildings, and make sure that those details, those products make sense to the constructability of a job. And that's how we start to improve architecture going forward.
Yep. Okay. I've got my 5-second drop. No, I can't just move that wall. Don't ask. And my second one is, unfortunately, higher education students coming from a construction management degree field are woefully unprepared for the industry.
Yikes. Mic drop.
That's going to be rage bait.
See what they get.
I mean, tell me why I'm wrong in the comments.
There you go.
We've talked about that a little bit before, but hot take.
So this has been, is this our 8th?
No, so I actually screwed up the numbering on the episodes. If our listeners have noticed that probably for like the last 4 episodes, I was off by 1. And so we would say this is was that ever episode, and it was actually the one before that. So this is officially the 7th episode.
7th episode.
Yeah. We had said 7th on the last one, but this one's actually the 7th. So we're back on track.
Yep. So 7th episode. Give us a like, share, whatever. We're on pretty much all like our short stuffs on most social media platforms, and then you can get the full episodes on Apple and Spotify, and one more, YouTube. That's right. Yep. So Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. So check us out. Thanks for listening. And this has been our 7th episode of Constructive Criticism,
where architects and contractors build better together.
All right.
We'll see you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
All right, bye.